Hi guys, welcome back. And in this video, I'll be explaining you a little more about if statement or else if statement. Previously, we learned that if a statement is useful for us to make decisions based on certain, conditional outputs or anywhere we think to program to let the program decide what to do next. So it's the best approach is to use if statement. We also learned that if we have any statement, for example, if users' grades are above, let's say, grades are above 60 or 70, so we let him or her do anything. So this is curly bracket. I'm sorry, like this one is the body for the if statement. So all the statements within this will be executed based on this condition. So if this is wrong, if we have else, so it will work based on the else statement, and if else has the same body, the curly bracket. So this body will be executing all the statements those are within that. So in this video, I will be explaining that there is a possibility that within one if we have another if. So this kind of a thing when we have one condition just started and we have so many line of code, among those line of code we have another if statement. So this type of situation is called nestation. So this is not common only in if statement, but also common in loopings or other kind of things. So we'll be learning them slowly, gradually. But first of all, understand that the nestation means, let's say, if within if or if within else if or anywhere, but within the body. So this is called nestation. So when this happens, so what logically happens is that, give me a second, let me clean this and I go to the next window so that I can explain you better. Yeah. So let's say, so what happens is that, for example, I am starting my program and I have certain computation here using the rectangular bracket. And based on that computation, I make some decision, right? So when I make the decision, what happens actually? So here is my, decision. My program will see like what to do. So when the program decides something, so what happens? So it's possible that we have another condition within the body of the condition and it's true. So previously, I remember we are just terminating the program, but now we are having another condition, or maybe we have some computation and then we have the condition. And then what happens is that when it is not finished, so it has something to be understand that it will go further this way or this go this way. So it is making program slightly complicated because it's not pretty straightforward that this statement does not mean that only one statement is true. For example, if it's true. So when our body is true, so now this is true, now it has to be true, otherwise the else of this statement will work. So let's see like how it works and how Walter Savage has explained first, and I will basically try to explain you using, the compiler of Java. So we know that if statements or nested if statement means like it can contain another if else statement in, part of if or else if, both any part can be part of the body of the if statement, right? So this looks like this way, very straightforward, that we have the if statement, and if we do not put the curly brackets, which means only one will be taken, so this one is taken, which means now it has only one statement taken, or this one is taken, so it's the same thing, right? So else, this else does not belong to this else, because this else belongs to this and this else belongs to this if statement. So that's why nestation is important. Oh, sorry, the indentation is important. So you have to make a move. You see, the body of this statement start from here. So it seems to me that the body of this state if statement start from here. So anything that's the body has to go a little bit inside. That's called indentations. So you see, this is number one indentations, number two, and number three. So it is like anything that is a body or something will go further into it. So I hope it is usually done automatically by the compiler if you're using any compiler such as IntelliJ. So, but just to explain you, you can also do it manually. So, where exactly can we use such type of situations? So we do it every day. For instance, that I just explained you whether you are pass or fail. So what I did is that I ask you to I developed a program in my previous video where I asked the user to input, and based on the input, I was deciding whether his grade is A or B. What if he entered the grades like -15? So that's not going to work. So -15, which means that a user has inserted wrong input, and that's not what I was expecting. But what if user inserted the right input? Then only I can make the decision. So the first thing I have to check is to see like whether the user has inserted the right input. So so the first if statement, when it's true, then only the body will work. If not, then the else will not work. Oh, sorry, else will work. That's one of the examples. Another example, for example, you go to a shop and you try to buy anything. You go to the Costco station. You are trying to pay the fill the petrol or gas, and then you realize that you're a member or not. If you're a member of certain particular gas stations, so you will be given some discount. If you're not, so no. So the first thing is that you have to have the card for you have to be eligible to have your membership, and then are you in that particular membership zone, for instance. So let's say you went to buy something from a shop, and the shopkeeper first thing, then are you 18 or above? And then yes, then it will see are you member or not, so which category of the member. So we encounter such type of situation almost everywhere. So I'll be explaining maybe one or two right in this video, but let's just quickly see that how it happens, or how, so I'll just have to describe it. So you're gonna see that we have if statement, and within the if statement we have body. Let's say this is the condition, and then we have body, and then within the body we have another if statement. This is perfectly fine. Or if you don't have the body, but you have one statement that can be run, right? So as soon as you have one statement, that statement has its own body, and this has also one statement. Oh, this has else statement, so this is perfectly fine. So it's not going to make much decision, but you should understand that. So this else is basically going to say that, okay, if A is greater than B, so you have to remember that this statement is just basically believing. So this has to run, right? So if this does not run, so logically else has to work. So else has to work within the body or outside of the body. So if it's outside of the body, for example, this is possible. Or if it's not within sorry if it's not outside of the body, so it's also possible that this is part of this statement. So like it's a bit like this, that you have a body, and then you have in the body you have a statement, and then within that if statement you have else statement, and then you still have this else if statement where it may have its own else. So you have to remember that we have to make sure that if this is not coming into the body, which means it's maybe the part of the outside of the if statement. We'll do the code, and I'm hopeful that you will understand that better. So let's go further and see like how Aldo Savage explain it further. So and so this is what we explain, and then this is how it looks like. So when you have a list of statement close in the brackets, they form a compound statement. That's what we discussed. So this is particularly fine. So I think we have already discussed this. So this is just a explanation of exit method. So for example, there is a situation where you want to terminate the program and you realize that this statement is not going to lead you to any computation. So how to terminate the program successfully? Just write system with S capital, system.exit. When you say 0, which means normally terminate. When you say 1, which means abnormally terminate. So you will be writing such kind of things quite frequently when you start writing your programs, like larger programs. Give me a second to let me open the compiler. Yes, guys. So I was trying to explain you about the nested if. So I have just quickly opened up the same program, and I'm trying to just simply tell you that in this program, I will ask a user to give me the input of his grades. So how many grades he has taken. So based on those grades, I will let him know whether he's pass or fail. So the condition is that I have to check whether he is trying to input between 0 and 100 or not. So first thing is that if it's true, then only I will see whether he is pass or fail. So the first thing is that I have to check whether the grades must be greater than or equals to 0, for instance, because I'm saying greater than or equals to 0. And then I'm going to say AND operator. I'm going to say grades have to be less than or equals to 100. That's one of the conditions that I have to put. And then this is the body of my first thing. So anything that I put, if I put just semicolon, which means it's not going to do anything. So the second thing, if the grades are not greater than 0, which means they are less than 0, number one. Number two, they are not less than 100, which means they are above 100, for instance. So any of these condition that is wrong, this will work. So what should it come here? So SOUT and tab. So you enter the wrong grades. So this is it, will be printed. So let's run it and try to ask the user first. So let's say, please enter your programming 1 grades between 0 to 100, and I try to say minus 10. So that's not going to work, you see. So you enter the wrong grades. So I try to give more. Let's say I said 101. So this looks perfectly fine. So, okay, great. So now let's run this part, which is the actual part that we have to now see like whether the person is pass or fail, or a student is pass or fail. So let's say if the grades are greater than or equals to 60, so that means he's passed, for instance. Sorry about that. So this is what logic is. So we're gonna say like you congratulations, congratulations, you have passed the course, for example. And not, for example, if I do not put else, it will not run this else for sure, because the body has just started. So you have to remember, once the body of this is started, which means else is not going to work. So that's the difference between seeing that if we have two else does not mean that both of them are going to work. If this does not work, so it will work. No, it has to go through like this. For example, let's say I'm trying to put the 45 as a digit. So 45 is greater than 0 for sure, and less than 100, that's for sure. So this will work, and this will not be printed because 45 is not greater than 60. That's logic, but there's no else. So as per our, like, if as per misunderstanding, I just explained, someone would think that this will work, that's the wrong input, but that's not the case, because this is the nested if. Let's run it. I'm gonna say my grades are 45, and I try to enter. You see no output came here that you entered the wrong grades. So now I'm gonna say here, okay, so else, and I'm gonna say here, system out or print, sorry, you are failed. So let's run this and try to see the same thing. I'm trying to input 45. Sorry, you have failed. So I hope it makes some sense that in the nestation, first thing is that we have to have the first condition true. If this is true, this whole will work, which means that now once again we have another if statement within the if statement, right? So this has to be gone through exactly in an independent way. It does not have any impact anymore from any other. So if this is working, which means now this is already executed, this body part has been executed. So now if there's only if, or there are so many else ifs, like for example I tried to put here the grades from for example this program that I have developed, else if there, yeah. So for example, this code I'm trying to say, I'm trying to just pass all these if statements and try to see that, yeah, that I am just simply saying that you have failed the course, or you have A grades, or you have B grades or something. So I'm just trying to keep it a very simpler way. Let's run it. So let's run it and try to see, like, I try to put 65. So you have a grade D. So do you see here? I have if statement, that's first of all true, and then we try to see this is not working. So this will be seen not working. This is to see not working, and this is to see yes, it's working. So the grade D is working, so else is not working. So the remaining portion of the body, exactly works the same as it has to work independently. But only a thing is that in one F, we may have another if. So there's a possibility that we don't have to think that only we have to have two types of if. For example, that if we have starting this one, and then we have some computation here, and then this is compute, and then we have if statement here. So it's not necessary that we may have computation here, and then based on that we may have another if statement here, and based on here we may have one computation, and then we may have another if statement. So how many if statements are just dependent on this statement? This is outer if, this is inner if, and this is another inner if. So basically there are one, two, three. So at least two of them are dependent on this condition. So it's not necessary that only one if statement have one if statement, another if statement, but it could nestation could go deeper and deeper. It depends on the logic, or some people can control it using how to say using and operators. Like here I can also do this, that grades greater than 0, and the second if a statement I check grade greater than less than 100, and then the third I check this one. So it's also possible. It's not going to change too much, but just your logic or your understanding. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to drop me the comment, or at least tell me which kind of nestation or nested if situation that you encounter in your daily life. Thank you so much.